Hello everybody and welcome to Showcase.
On tonight's show, we have a video profile project from Mike Giuliretto. Also, we have an interview with the Kutztown football documentary crew and much more.
So sit back, grab some drinks and snacks, and enjoy the show, folks. Showcase starts now.
Let's get rolling.
To the studio! Welcome to Showcase, everybody. I'm Kyle Aschenfelder.
And I'm Frank Kozel. Let's get started with a video profile by Mike Giuliretto. Roll it.
Just a boy, my father seemed a mountain then, with a voice that could shake the seas. My mother's ghost hung across his shoulders, and he said she was still watching over me. My brother was home, just returned on army leave, told his stories with a distant stare. And as it snowed, the wind was howling through the trees, and I spent my night just listening by the fire.
Hey everybody, and I am here with Mike Giuliretto, and we are here talking about his profile or portfolio video that he created. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for
It's
having
nice
me.
to see you.
Good to see you too.
And so, what's the name of this portfolio video? What title did you give it?
Stuck Inside.
Stuck Inside. Okay. Yeah, I noticed that was actually in the video as
Yeah.
well. What was the purpose of this video? What was the purpose of making it?
Well, it was for the DSLR project that we had in Bieber's field production class, and I just wanted to do something that I could, I don't know, have different kinds of camera shots and like something different than what we've normally been doing. So I came up with an idea that I could do time lapses and close-ups and all like a different variety of things.
Okay. Yeah. So, along with that, what was the theme? What was the story you were trying to create with this video?
I guess it was just like the feeling like when you're stuck inside. There's a name. Like, I don't know, and it's like a nice day out and you want to do something else, but you have to stay in and work on a paper or something, which is ironic because it was really nice out when I was editing it, but I was stuck inside for like 12 hours.
Oh wow! Yeah, and the shots were outside and looked very nice.
Yeah.
So what all? I know you said you used a DSLR
Yeah.
to film this. What other equipment did you have on hand to make this?
Well, I used a Canon 7D DSLR. A couple different lenses. I actually used a D3000, which is a still picture only camera.
Oh wow.
But since it's a lot of like merged photos to make video, it didn't really matter like what I used. But I made a little camera crane for some of the moving shots in the woods. That's about it, pretty much.
This was like the resolution on these shots and the whole video is really good. Like, how did you compress it all to make it look to make sure that everything fit, and looked the same?
Well, a lot of it is photos that are merged together, and photos obviously better resolution than video is. But even for the videos, it's all through MPEG Streamclip. It's all converted to Apple Intermediate Codec, which is pretty non-lossy. So.
Wow. So how'd you make it all smooth? You did a lot of panning and a lot of zooming. It seemed like you had like a Ken Burns effect on some of the stuff.
Yeah.
How'd you make it so smooth? It was so clear and everything. How'd you make that so smooth? And
Well, a lot of it, like with the actual camera, is on the crane, so it was a lot more steady than doing anything handheld. And it was counterbalanced, so it was a pretty like fluid movement.
Okay.
And then for the time lapses, since the resolution is so large, you can actually do digital zooming without losing pixel clarity because you have so much to work with.
yeah, yeah, you did a lot of like superimposing. Like there were shots of a person there, and then you'd have clocks. Clocks seemed to be a theme in this video,
Yeah.
and you had to do a lot of superimposing. How did you go about doing that?
Well, I had a clock time-lapse file, and then I luminance keyed out the background and some of the actual subject of the watch, so it would be kind of transparent when you put them over it. And I just felt that it kind of tied in the idea of like you're wasting time, like time's going by. So that was my transition into the time lapses.
Wow, that's excellent. Now there was a lot of different scenery in this film. Where all locations did you go to get your shots?
A lot of it was in Kutztown, like the Lookout. I don't know what it's really called. It's the hill that overlooks all of Kutztown.
Okay.
Shot some there. French Creek State Park, which is like 5 minutes from my house.
Oh wow.
Went there. So, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you did this. It was excellent, really excellent. What are you working on now?
I don't have any like video projects for school right now, but I'm working on some freelance stuff I've been shooting. Been helping with Mic Check. We're working on making some stuff for Newsbreak too.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you once again for coming on the
Yeah,
show.
no problem.
Everyone, make sure to check out his YouTube page. We have it right down the bottom of the screen. Make sure to check it out. He's got some good stuff on there. And we will be right back after these messages.
Be sure to tune in Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. to catch co-hosts Liz Reeby, Devin Raventoss, and Eddie Rishit as they travel around the Berks County and Lehigh Valley area, exploring some great places to visit. Camera One re-airs Wednesdays at 7:30 and Fridays at 12:30. Don't miss it!
Welcome to another edition of Films with Frank. In tonight's episode, we will be discussing Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Skyfall. The first film we will be discussing is Steven Spielberg's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. After arriving in India, Indiana Jones is asked by a desperate village to find a mystical stone. He agrees and stumbles upon a secret cult plotting a terrible plan in the catacombs of an ancient palace. What'd you think about this movie,
I love
Kyle?
this movie, honestly. Very unlike many film critics, this was actually my favorite Indiana Jones film. No lie.
Really?
Honestly, a lot of the critics said about how it wasn't as good. When it first came out, actually, the storyline isn't really connected with the first Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade. This movie is kind of like its own movie, its own storyline. It's almost like a random adventure for Indiana Jones. That's kind of what it is,
Yeah,
and that was one of the biggest
I kinda get
criticisms.
that.
It's a darker film. And the thing I love about this is that in this movie, Indiana Jones kind of goes cuckoo. Like he gets like brainwashed kind of.
yeah.
And I think that it adds more depth to his character because he's supposed to be this hero. And seeing him lose his mind and become brainwashed, it adds like a whole new element to his character. I really love that about this movie.
I'm glad that you thought that way because I'm the exact opposite. It's probably my least favorite Indiana
really?
Jones
Okay.
films. I don't know. I don't like the sidekick. Short Round, I think his name is.
Short
That
Round,
is.
yeah.
I don't
You
like.
call him Dr. Jones. You call him Dr. Jones.
I just did it. I don't know. It didn't do it for me. I don't know. I thought it was just kind of corny. But what would you say? Buy, rent, skip?
Buy. I already own it. I already own this movie. I own all three. I love this movie. I love it. I watch it. I watch it at least like, nowadays it's like 3 times a year. Like
Wait,
seriously, I
Do
always
you own the
watch
fourth
this.
one?
Yeah, yes, I do on the fourth
So
one. Let's
you
not
just
talk
didn't.
about that one. Please, let's not talk about that one.
For
Ugh.
me, it's an own as well. I mean, it was my least favorite, but in the end, it is a Indiana Jones movie, and it's still better than most
Yeah.
movies nowadays.
It's
so.
better than the fourth one.
Yeah, well,
okay.
yeah,
Let's
there's
just
a lot
get
better.
that out of the way. All right, and our other film that we are discussing tonight is the newest James Bond film, Skyfall, starring Daniel Craig as James Bond. Bond's loyalty to M is tested when her past comes back to haunt her. Whilst MI6 comes under attack, 007 must track down and destroy the threat, no matter how personal the cost. What do you think of this movie?
I really like this movie a lot.
Me too.
This was actually one of my favorite James Bond films. Probably the most out of the three that have come with Daniel Craig being James Bond.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. I mean, there's really good action scenes. The movie has who's
Judi
M?
Dench?
Judi Dench.
Judi
There
Dench.
you go.
Yes,
Okay.
and actually, for those of you who don't know, this was her last Bond film, I believe. This was her last one. I'm really sad. She was quite the asset to the
Yeah.
Bond films.
She
She's
was
been in them
awesome.
for quite a while.
Yeah,
you
she's
know,
been-
even during the Pierce Brosnan era. So yeah.
Yeah, she's really good, and this movie is actually kind of more about her. I feel like to an extent
Yeah.
than James Bond, which is kind of a
Exactly.
a
There was
little
just
bit different.
Yeah, there were some really cool action scenes in this film. The metro subway station, it crashes.
That's really
That
cool.
was amazing.
The villain's awesome too. in
Oh
it.
yeah, the villain is. Oh my God, he's great.
Yeah,
oh my
yeah,
God,
yeah.
absolutely, just great. It's a great production, really good. So, what do you think? You want to buy, rent, or skip this movie?
I hate to do it twice in a row, but I'm gonna say own. I would say you
Okay.
play on, buy it, because like it's awesome. It stands up there as one of the best
Okay.
James Bond movies overall. What
yeah,
do you think?
Yeah, and I agree. I definitely say that buy it. Absolutely, definitely worth another watch and another watch and another watch and another watch.
Wow.
Definitely.
It's a lot of watching.
It's a
It's
lot of watching.
All right, that's it for this week's edition of Films with Frank. We will be right back after these messages.
Hey there, folks. Welcome back to Showcase. I am here with the KU football documentary crew, Max Ferreira, Megan Black, and Darren Dabrowski, right? Dabrowski. All right. And so you guys made this documentary, which is called
Overcoming Adversity.
Overcoming Adversity, okay? When was this made, or what season was this based on?
This was the 2012 football season, and we took place during the fall this previous semester.
Okay.
Starting like a week or two into the semester, beginning with the first game, and we finished it probably with 3 days remaining in the semester, so all the way through, really.
So what gave you the overall inspiration for the title of this documentary?
A lot of arguing and the deciding. We at one point we weren't sure we were going to give it a name, but one of our crew members, Chris Heller, was adamant that it had to have a title. So.
Yeah, and we went back and listened to all their interviews and tried to pick something that they talked about a lot, that they mentioned the players, and a lot of it was overcoming adversity and like the type of season that they had. So that's what
Yeah, the
made
players
our
kind of
final
helped
decision.
us shape it, because we asked them, like, if you could describe this season, how would you do it? And sure enough, they each gave us a very similar phrase as overcoming adversity. So it just was nice to fit in there.
Okay, so so the main story of this is about adversity, or was there other, like the story you were trying to create, was that about adversity, or?
I'd say the story was molding as we went along. I mean, we didn't know how the season was going to end up until 2, maybe 3 weeks before we had to have it finished. So
Yeah.
we had to write the script only after the very last game was completed.
When you're doing a documentary for a sports team like that, they kept reminding us that it's sort of going to write itself and that we are there just documenting what's happening. And so the overcoming adversity was the theme because that's what the trials they had to go through the season turned out to be like. for
Especially in
them.
comparison to previous season, having taken the championship. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
there wasn't really much room for them to improve. So it just happened to turn out that way, really.
Yeah, so what was the overall purpose of this documentary? Was this just something you guys bounded together on your own to do, or was this connected to a certain organization?
It
or-
was for a class.
Okay.
It wasn't just us three. I mean, on the other end, I felt like there were certain people that put more time into it, but it was for a class, and the whole class. We broadcasted each football game every week live, all the home games anyway, and each member of the class had to go to the away games and take footage there too, so that we had it. So yeah, it was for a class, and yeah.
That's how it came to part. That's how it like all came together. Like each student was, or a group of 2 or 3 students was assigned each game to make a game story. So it wasn't us having to film, edit, and like shoot everything and throw it all together. Like the class of 20, 25 people, everyone was responsible for a different segment. So as the season progressed, you had different students working different things. So by the end, we had like little packages for each game, which we then had to trim down, and Darren narrated over it. So we had to like throw that in. Then we had to select music and go
It's a
through.
lot of work.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely,
in
I'm
it.
sure.
but it was neat because we had a bunch of people working on it.
Yeah. So the main equipment you guys used, what was some of the basic things you had to have on hand for making a documentary such as this?
Mostly the P2 cameras. We use DSLR occasionally. As far as covering the football games, we would have several different cameras covering all the different goings-on live, and 1 or 2 sideline cameras just getting extra footage for later editing. So.
Yeah, each game that was broadcasted live was recorded for us as well, so that's where we got the footage from to do the documentary.
And then the interviews were filmed here in the studio, just using some of the studio equipment on a blue screen and within the control room. So
Okay.
all equipment that the school gave us, luckily.
Okay. What was the overall vibe? What was it really like, following these guys throughout their season and following their athletic lives,
It was crazy because we made different graphics every single week almost, it felt like, and you're down there, a lot of people were on the field, but then I felt like I knew them. Like when they came for their interviews, I was like, oh yeah, that's Josh Mastromato. Like I pretty much know him because I have been filming him and writing about him for the entire semester. So it was cool,
Kind of freaky. Even.
kind of freaky,
Yeah,
but you
a
do
little
really feel like
freaky.
you know the players, even though you're literally just being behind the scenes.
Yeah, they don't really know who's behind the camera too much. So then when you see him in person, you're like, oh, I know that person. And you want to say hi to him, but then you think they probably haven't even seen me once this whole year.
Yeah, it's understandable. But you've made a relationship with some of these guys, I
Yeah.
understand.
It was
Definitely.
cool. You got to see their whole season develop from beginning to end. So when they were playing bad, you could tell how they felt in relationship to the previous game, or when they would come back at the next game, you'd
Or
know
if there was an injury, like when Josh got hurt, it was like, oh my God, we all started freaking out too, because we
Yeah.
got into following the game and hoping that they would win and stuff like that. So we followed all their injuries, all their, not their practices, but
Yeah.
we try to get as much information behind the scenes as we could.
because they're writing the story, they're providing the content. So when things go wrong for them, they kind of go wrong for us. It's difficult for us to make things seem all nice and pretty when, in fact,
They're not.
yeah, they're
Absolutely.
struggling themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So what did you guys do to attempt, trying to stay out of their way? How did you guys arrange yourselves so that way you weren't getting too, involved?
Well, most of the footage, again, was of the games, of the actual games that was broadcasted live. But I guess for the roaming camera people, I never got to do roaming camera. I don't know. Just try and.
Roman camera is fun. You're on the sideline, you're running back and forth, regardless of the elements. If it's windy, if it's raining, you're out there, you're right beside the player. So when the play comes close, it's kind of difficult to judge where you're at if you're looking through the eyepiece. And no one in our class, fortunately, was hit, but I know in previous
Last year,
classes
yeah.
got knocked
Yeah.
out.
There were some close calls though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
close calls.
Is there anything that you're disappointed, when you finally went back and looked at how it turned out? Is there anything that kind of just went, that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to?
I mean, it was something that, for our first time doing something like that, we're
Yeah.
always going to be. I mean, for everyone else that first saw it, I'm sure they didn't pick up half the things that we picked up when we watched it with the team and everyone. But there's always little audio mistakes
Yeah,
or
if you
something
spend that
that
much
you
time with
want.
anything,
Yeah.
You're going to go nuts.
You get very nitpicky.
It was also kind of difficult covering all the away games because,
We didn't have as much
it was our own
footage or-
responsibility to drive out there too. So the game, like in Edinburgh, would have taken hours, and the weather wasn't good, in fact. So like,
We ended up not having footage from
like
that
throwing
game.
that into the documentary was kind of difficult because we either had to use pictures or I think we made our own little animation with like a nice game story over it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice. So you guys did a very good job on this. What's all of your next projects, next aspirations?
Don't look at me.
For documentary work, it might not be anytime soon. That was just the class that we're lucky to be a part of and have the experience of doing. Now we're just focusing on the other parts of our major.
yeah, I think that the class that we were previously in that made that documentary is focusing on some of the girls basketball and men's, and then a little bit of rugby and mainly Battle of the Bands. So that's
So they're
what
making a
their next
documentary for
project is.
that.
So they should be making something very similar to what we did.
That's cool. That's really cool, guys. Thank you once again for coming on the show to talk to me and answering my questions. Thank you very much. You were very, very kind. And now we're going to cut to a clip of this documentary, a little sneak peek at this documentary. Roll it.
You know, it was different because we hadn't experienced things like we've experienced this year.
Everything as far as the 2011 season, we was going to try to outmatch that, outdo that, be better than what we was. I mean, obviously it turned out different.
But we didn't expect to lose our starting running back, our starting quarterback, our starting safety. I mean, we just didn't expect that.
It's just frustrating. You know, it's stuff that you can't control.
I mean, this year, the season didn't go exactly how we wanted. Always just talk about getting better day by day.
You want to be out there. You don't want to go out there and lose regardless of whether you're going to make playoffs, whether you're making a run for a national championship or you're going to go 0-10.
We want to win every game that we in, obviously.
This team refuses to lose. I mean, all the adversity that we faced through those 3 weeks to come back and fight and keep fighting and not quitting on each other just kind of says the character that this group has, and it was great to be a part of it.
So Frank, what did you think of that video?
I thought this documentary was awesome. Like it shows it does a real good job of showing what the football players go through, and I think a lot of time and effort went into the actual making of it, and you can see that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I played football in high school. I kind of know what it's like,
Right.
but it's also nice it's kind of cool to see what these college football players go through as they prepare for their season,
Yeah, definitely.
and they work their butt off.
Yeah, it's
They really
exciting
do.
to see them work so hard. I didn't know so much effort went into this sort of thing.
Yeah, it's quite amazing.
I know
So,
nothing about sports.
yeah, absolutely. So we'll be right back after these messages, folks.
Hey everyone, I'm Haley Bianco.
And I'm Steve Majiri, and we're the new hosts of Between the Lines.
Check us out to find out all you need to know about KU sports.
Be sure to tune in on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 and Fridays at noon. And remember, being outside the lines only gets you the scores.
But here at Between the Lines, we get you in the locker room.
Welcome back, folks. Now we would like to introduce you to a new segment on our show where we put outstanding electronic media students in the spotlight and show you what they do. Introducing the Student Spotlight.
I'm Nick Cortopella. I'm a sophomore, and my major is electronic media. We work on Mic Check now, and it's going pretty well. It's been a semester, I guess, and a half now that Mic Check's been in production. So, it's just something that I'm constantly working on, video editing and audio engineering, and I'm nonstop when it comes to like After Effects too, and just it's everything, and it's pretty cool. It airs twice a week, and that's something I'm really proud of because I've been head of that and I helped create it. And I chose electronic media as my major because I was really interested in the fact that the major wasn't condensed down to one aspect of media, but everything like audio, film editing, video editing. That's what I meant, not film editing, but it's pretty cool. So personally, I mean, I don't mean to brag, so to speak, but I know how to do a lot of stuff other than just video editing or audio engineering or engineering in general. It's just I know how to do a lot of stuff pretty well, and that's what I'm here for, to refine those talents, so to speak. So my favorite so far is probably field production. We were allowed to be a little bit more creative when it came to like video editing and like shooting stuff and the way stuff looked and scripting stuff out. So it was pretty cool in that aspect, and that was probably my favorite. Probably my dad. It's kind of cheesy and corny, but to be completely honest, my dad more than anybody else, just because he's always pushed me to just not stop and keep working and just keep, striving to achieve your goal no matter what it takes. Okay. You got to do what you got to do, and you do it well. So that's exactly what he's been telling me to do, my entire life, and that's what I've been doing, and that's why I think I've been, somewhat successful. Probably the audio engineering. I've learned, I knew a little bit about audio engineering before I came here, but then as soon as I got here, I learned a whole lot more, and that's due to Barish, Mr. Barish, out of anybody else, and I've taken that to a recording studio that I work at home. And then, when I do mic check and live productions and stuff, that helps. Don't slack. Yeah, freshman year is, your first semester, you're getting used to everything. So it's just like, what do I do? Where do I go? Oh, I can do this later. Oh, I should just do this later. Or, it should have been, I should do this now. I should worry about this now. And, now I know better, but then, it harmed me a little bit. So, that's what I would tell myself way back when. I have a whole freelance thing that I do. And, it's not like, I don't have a whole bunch of clients right now, but, after college and stuff, I'm going to try and promote it a little bit more, so.
If you wish to check out Mic Check or any other KUTV productions, search under Showcase Facebook page and view our like shows. Make sure to watch Mic Check Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and Fridays at 1 p.m. on KUTV or at Ustream by searching for KU Live. Thanks for watching.
Well, folks, that's all we have for tonight's show. Make sure to check out our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter.
Thank you for watching this week's edition of Showcase. See you next time.
And remember, folks, when life is getting you down, just keep rolling.